All right, my next recommendation, The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. Oh, this book feels so good. I can't wait till, well, actually I can wait for the sake of my kids cuz I don't want life to move too fast, but I look forward to when we can actually feel things through the internet cuz this feels so good. I want to rub it against my beard. It feels so good. It's almost like a cloth type of setup. I'm not good with describing textures, so forgive me, but it feels great. The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. He's been a lot of places. He's usually reclusive by his own words. If you're not familiar with him, he was the co-founder of Def Jam, which was the first, I would say second major hip hop label. Shout out to hip hop. You just turned 50. Welcome to the ARPH. And so he co-founded um, the second major hip hop label. The first one was called Sugar Hill, which you might have heard of that. If you heard of Rapper's Delight, they were the first major ones. Back in the late 70s, around the time I was born. Def Jam was closer to my generation. And that was, I want to say 83, 84. He was a co-founder of it with, of course, Russell Simmons. And then he went independent and worked with Johnny Cash, and then worked with Slayer, and then worked with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and then worked with LL Cool J, who he discovered over at Def Jam, and then started working with the Dixie Chicks, and just been prolifically creative. And since the Def Jam times, even during the Def Jam times a little bit, has been very much behind the scenes, as opposed to if you counterpoint that with some of the other legendary people in the 80s. But that's the short history. I can get way more into detail. This is his first book, and he has this place literally called Shangri-La over in Malibu. There's a fantastic documentary it was on Hulu, called Shangri-La, which is about the compound that he set up over in Malibu and how it fared during the Malibu fires a handful of years ago, but really about the creative process. Shout out to my people over in Maui too. I hope you guys figure things out in any way that we could support. What's great about this particular book is how simple it is. And I've watched a lot of interviews that he's done online. If you go to YouTube or another platform, just look up Rick Rubin. He's done a lot of interviews over the past 6-7 months, which has been fantastic. He's did an interview with Tim Ferriss, interview with Ryan Holiday, interview with quite a few other people. Like, it's just a long list, kind of like a who's who right now with the people who are doing the long form interviews. Wealth of knowledge, extremely humble, very centered. But most importantly, what I got from this book, and I also just started reading this, so you can start to see the dog ears. I almost didn't want to dog ear the book, but it was so many gems. I'm like, I have to dog ear this because I'm afraid I'm going to lose it. What's fantastic about the book, and he declared this, I'm sure you see the book, he declared this a while ago, which I love, is he said, I want to create a book, because again, it's his first book. I want to create a book that's timeless. Not timeless as in it's going to be relevant now as it is then, and so forth. Not like that. We all aim for that when we create stuff, right? Timeless as in it's not tied to me and it's not tied to a particular time. That's a different type of timeless. Um, Sun Tzu's The War of Art, like, or I'm sorry, The Art of War, The War of Art. Shout out to Stephen Pressfield. No, Sun Tzu's The Art of War and other books, they are truly timeless. Where they might mention like a stagehand or bales of hay or gold instead of dollars and rupees, like maybe, but they have a sense of timeless with it. He achieved that. Like, I'm only a little bit in, and I'm like, oh no, he's got it. And what I love about it is just the simplicity of it. And the book is basically about how you can make a creative life, not how you can be a creative. And I think this is a point worth going a little bit deeper into. One of the reasons why I'm really into the work that I do as as a coach, as producer and host of the show and so forth, is because I'm finding that misnomer that you have to be a quote unquote artist, and it's an innate principle, it's an innate idea, and or you have to dedicate your life to doing that one thing. And I don't think either one's true. And so the main thing we can do is make space for creativity within the life that we have. Not build everything around, oh, I want to do this creating, I'm going to build everything around it. The best thing we can do is say, I'm going to create a life, and then creativity is going to be a part of it. That's a different instance. I've created entrepreneurship and this TV show and my book publishing and the public speaking and the coaching, all the different, octopus arms, as I say, that I'm involved in. They're built around my family. They're built around my health. They're built around my chosen family, my friends. They're built around travel. They're built around naps, which I had a nap right before I got on the show today. It's built around that. He has a similar energy with the book. As I say in my own book, which is also included in the complete Bring Your Worth collection, you don't need to run away to the circus. You don't need to abandon your principles or leave your values behind or go, live in an ashram for decades to show up as a creative person. You can just create shit. That's all. And that's the energy of the book. That's the energy of Rick Rubin, period. Which is one of the reasons why I admire him so much. He's like, it's not that complicated. I look at my kids, and again, they're 7 and 10, and they just make stuff. They're not trying to figure out if they could sell it. They're not trying to figure out how it might perform with the likes and dislikes or how much it will get shared. They just create shit. I'm trying to get all of us back to the essence. And he's trying to do the same thing. So that's the book. I don't know how I can recommend it more. All right. If you want to go deeper into these ideas, my favorite / best emotional intelligence books. I tie these things together because I feel like emotional intelligence is almost required if you're going to create a life worth living, or to be less dramatic about it, to create a life that's going to be generative versus subtractive. I know we talk about generative. We've been talking a lot about generative AI, but generative was a word well before AI came about. And that means something emanating, something coming out. That's 1 + 1 = 3. It's something more. Me showing up for y'all on the Bring Your Worth show here at Bring Your Worth TV, that's generative. I'm creating something out of nothing. I talk a lot about that in Bring Your Worth. And we have the opportunity to do that. But the more we can be in tune with our emotions, understanding our emotions, being able to articulate our emotions, even if we're just talking to ourselves, the higher we can get to that frequency of just being a creative being. I mean, as soon as this show was done, hopping in my car and picking up my kids from school and then taking them to after school activities and making dinner and all that stuff. And that doesn't subtract from how much I can show up for y'all. And in fact, it adds more flavor or spice to that. But it requires having that emotional foundation to do that. These books that I talk about in the previous Bring Your Worth live show, I think this show was probably from the end of last year, gets into what it means to show up emotionally full. That doesn't mean you're always going to have fun emotions, but to show up emotionally full and to be fully present. All the books will help you with that. As you can tell, it's a big topic for me, and I get totally into the show. Be sure and check it out. I have lots of live shows on bringyourworth.tv too. So I think this is like the 57th, maybe 60th live show. So if you like the live format, be sure and check it out. There's a bunch of content for you. So check it out. All right. All right. And so I think it worked. There we go. It's worked. Okay. So another question that I get asked a lot, and I have a question for y'all too, is what are you reading now? Now, a lot of these books that I'm showing, I'm reading now, but there's also some classics that I'm rereading now, which I'll get into in a moment. So that actually, I'll save that for the next question. But what are you guys reading now? What are you into? Are you reading fiction um, here in North America, or I should say, in America? Yeah, North America, right here. Forgot where I was for a second. Here in North America, it's the end of summer, so you might be doing the so-called beach reads, and there's nothing wrong with that. Done a couple here and there. Are you reading the serious historical, not nonfiction? What are you into? Let me know in the comments what you guys might be reading now.